Now, for football supporters, well, this stage of the season is where it begins to get rather tense. Yeah, the prospect of either promotion or relegation.
There are also financial worries to contend with. Tonight, Norwich City, they're top of their league, will tell shareholders how they're dealing with the millions of pounds they're in debt. Malcolm Robertson has this report.
On the field, everything's looking rosy for Norwich City, top of League One after 8 successive wins. But off the pitch, it's not nearly so healthy. Huge debts, attempts to attract new investment have so far failed, and the club saying it'll take the news of the world to court after the newspaper alleged the club was about to go into administration, claims Norwich have denied. Tonight is a very important one for the club because shareholders at the annual meeting will hear how Norwich hope to turn their finances round, and one possible solution mooted by the chairman is to sell this stadium, which has been their home since 1935. But that suggestion hasn't found favour with majority shareholder Delia Smith. She's against it.
That's very much the crown jewels. That must very much be a very last resort, and it's one which I wouldn't really like to contemplate at this moment in time. But if it gets that dire, then maybe that is something they will have to consider.
Ipswich Town are backed by hotel entrepreneur Marcus Evans. Involved in a fight to avoid relegation, they made a loss of more than £10 million last year. The overall debt is £35 million. Peterborough United, having sacked 2 managers this season, will almost certainly be relegated. They made a loss of £1 million last year. After several disappointing years, Norwich City are well placed to return to the Championship, but they lost £5 million last year. Their overall debt is £23 million. Southend United recently staved off administration by settling a tax bill of £2 million. They're £5 million in debt. Chartered accountant Mark Curtis says clubs need to strike a balance between sensible business and realising supporters' expectations.
All businesses face a decision: how much money do we need to borrow? Can we afford to repay it? So as long as the debt is manageable, it isn't necessarily a problem for the clubs. Where we do run into problems is if the debt is unmanageable and there isn't means to repay that debt in the terms which have been set by the lenders.
Until clubs can manage players' wages against what they take in ticket sales, advertising and sponsorship, it seems they'll always have a problem balancing the books. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News.
An expensive business. Now then, most sportsmen and women are very careful about what they look at this temple of mine.
Absolutely.
But one extreme athlete from Cambridgeshire is taking a rather different approach.
Yes, Dan Martin, who's from Huntingdon near Peterborough, is piling on the pounds for his latest challenge, which is set to see him swim almost 3,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean. Stuart Leiths has been to meet him.
The tranquil but chilly setting of the River Nene at Oundle. The perfect place for extreme athlete Dan Martin to train. The 28-year-old will be embarking on a global triathlon in May, starting with a 2,900-mile swim across the Atlantic Ocean.
If you look at it as a whole, it is impossible. You know, you can't swim from America to Europe. It's just staggeringly, huge. But you just got to split it down to day. You know, every day I've got to get in. I've got to do my 8 hours, and after 4 months I'll be in France or thereabouts. You know.
Unlike most athletes who watch their weight, Dan, who's from Haddon near Peterborough, aims to gain 10 stone to insulate him for the Atlantic swim. He consumes around 6,000 calories a day. The recommended daily amount for a man is about 2,500.
If you look on any of the health programmes, you know, I'm following the reverse of what they say. You know, I'm trying to drink a lot of calories and I'm trying to physically gain weight just because I need to be at a level where I'm fat enough to kind of sustain my body temperature for long periods of time in this cold water.
Dan's journey begins in Nova Scotia, Canada, from where he'll swim across the Atlantic to Brest in France. He'll then hop on his bike and cycle 9,000 miles across Europe and Siberia to the Bering Straits, before running the final 6,000 miles back to Nova Scotia. But Dan says it's the swim that's the most daunting part.
If you let your mind wander to, I've got months and months of this to come, and then even when I get onto land, I've got, extreme cold, and, if you allow your mind to wander onto the enormity of the whole thing, then, you're sunk, you can't do it.
So on a day like this, a dip in the Nene may look uninviting, but imagine doing this for almost 3,000 miles. Stuart Leiths, Anglia News.
That's mad, isn't it?
Absolutely mad. Even though you can eat what you like, I don't fancy that bit, do you?
And he's got to be back at work by 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Right, finally tonight, a farmer in Cambridgeshire has won an award for enterprise because he breeds, wait for it, crocodiles.
Yes, you did hear right. Crocodiles. At the moment, he's only got 7, but in a few years' time, he hopes to have over 1,000, unbelievable, which he's going to use for meat. We told Natalie Gray to make it snappy. Oh, dear, and go and see them.
Andy Johnson is the 4th generation of his family to farm at Old Hurst near Huntingdon in Cambridgeshire. As well as the usual pigs, cattle and sheep, he's got emus, ostriches, raccoons, and crocodiles.
Never smile at a crocodile. No, you can't get friendly with a crocodile.
It's certainly a dynamic way to diversify. He's breeding them for meat, and with crocodile fetching £21 a kilo, it could prove really lucrative.
Dream is to get producing on site about 400 babies a year, which is going to be 1,200 crocs in total. So at the moment, there's a world shortage of crocodile. Since we opened a butcher shop, we've always had it on sale. In the last 6 months, we can't get any. And it's looking quite positive that we're going to have some babies this year.
And they've all got such cute names. There's Romeo, Kisses, Cuddles, and Sherbet's just under my feet. Why keep crocodiles to breed, to kill them? There will be people who will not be comfortable with this. What do you say to that?
Fish numbers in the oceans are dropping. We've got to find an alternative. The meat is a white meat. It flakes, got all the same properties as fish. The nearest you get to eating is monkfish. We are passionate about the welfare of them. And one of the greatest ways to protect any wild animal that is under threat is to drop the value of this product.
It's Britain's first crocodile farm, and the unusual enterprise has earned them a place in the national finals of the Countryside Alliance Awards, which take place in London tomorrow. The farm welcomes visitors, though you'll only be able to see the crocs through the window. Have you had any injuries, though?
I had a bad whip across the chest once with a tail, which left an imprint for about a fortnight.
And your wife?
She was the first one ever to get bitten by them. And
she had a shirt ripped, I think. It was more serious than that, was it? 80% of the meat sold in the farm shop comes from animals reared here. No crocodile meat yet, but in a few years' time, locals could perhaps be cooking up Crocodile. Natalie Gray, Anglia News, Old Hurst in Cambridgeshire.
At Mr. Crocodile.
Another crazy man on this programme.
Absolutely. Just that board in the way, can you imagine it? Although he did say his wife's had a little bit of a nip. Where was she?
Yeah,
we didn't see her.
We are assured she's about still, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. Let's have a look at what's coming up in the national news in a couple of minutes' time.
That's coming up in a couple of minutes' time. But now, let's take a look at what is a bit of a soggy week. Here's Amanda.
Well, what a grotty week. Rain, rain, more rain. Definitely want to stay indoors, I say. See you tomorrow.
Bye. See you
Bye-bye.